Hey, Mrs. Kapper here. So as promised, I'm going to show you the rest of the table build. I already put a video up on the first part, and I will put the link in for that in case you missed it. But it is now time for part 2, building the top and finishing the project. So again, my disclaimer, I am not a professional furniture maker. Probably better and easier ways to do this, but I'm just sharing my experience with you so that you can learn from it. And I'll share some of my mistakes that I made in this also. But before I start with the build, let me back up here a minute. So there is a story behind getting the wood. So it's not just the story of building the table. So I originally had some old barn wood from another farm that we had, and it was really nice solid oak, about 1 1/4 inch thick. I had already varnished some because I was going to use it for a different project, and I decided not to. I stained it and the color was awful. So I went digging in the barn in Kentucky and found all of this old dried wood that's been stacked for quite a while. So I pulled out some boards. We hauled it home. I took the pressure washer to it and got it all cleaned up, let it dry in the shed in the heat, and then sprayed it for bugs. I took the measurements and cut out some stencils of it. So I didn't know if I was going to do a breadboard or long, but breadboard won. So now back to the cutting. Well, as you can see on the left there, I have it clamped down real nice and tight so the board didn't move. I also had it sitting on something on the other side, and that moved, and of course the board flew up. So note to self, make sure both ends are secured. When I did cut it though, I discovered that it wasn't oak like I originally thought it was, but it was poplar, and wormy poplar at that. That piece went through the planer just so I could see what it would look like. And, it was disappointing, but yet it was, a pleasant surprise, I guess. But all of the wood was full of wormholes. So it was wormy poplar, which I know you can make some really neat stuff with it. But I was going to leave the boards just like that. And that was the planed piece because I wanted to see what it would look like. With some stain in it. I did like the stain because look at all the neat grooves that them nice little worms made. But I thought it was going to be, first of all, too busy for a table with all that natural artwork in there. Plus, it would be hard to keep clean unless I filled all of those little holes. So what I decided to do instead was just sand it a little bit smooth, but not go past where the wormholes were. I got it all laid out in the breadboard fashion and looked pretty cool. Because I did the breadboard, I had to add supports on the end. And what I did on the top was just tack it down with some nails so that I could flip it over. Like I said, with the breadboard, I had to add an extra support underneath. So each of the boards got screws, wood screws, and also the breadboard on the side. Now, I forgot to drill my holes for underneath. So I ended up, and I forgot to tape it also. But I ended up just screwing it in on the side and catching the boards from underneath. So this is what it ended up being after I had it all glued and screwed and nailed. And I was pretty happy with it. The fit was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but neither is rustic lumber. So, nice wood finish. I went with a golden oak. I really didn't want much color on it, but man, it was dry. It just soaked it like a sponge there. Each of the boards had their own character and took the stain a little bit different, but I really liked the difference in the colors and how it took the stain. You can see that there are some areas that were picking it up a lot darker, especially where those tannins and the knots had bleeded through over the years. But overall, I loved the way it looked. This was right after the stain. Had some really dark areas and some really light areas. But lesson learned on the dryness of wood. Even though wood looks and feels dry, it's not, because there was some shrinkage, more than what I was expecting. I did leave a spacer between each of the boards because I knew it could expand then when it gets humid. So I used a clear brushing lacquer for the finish on top because I wanted something that was really durable. This stuff works great. You don't have to sand in between it, and it goes on pretty darn good. It doesn't leave any kind of brush strokes or anything that you can't cover up. So I was pretty pleased with it. It does smell, so make sure you're ventilated. That was the first coat, second coat, and then this is the final coat. I put 3 coats total, and then this is what it looked like as it was drying. So after that, that was pretty much it. But knowing where it came from, big difference. So it was a sunny day, so the colors are a little bit lighter and brighter. But I do like how it ended up. Those chairs were from a rummage sale that I got. I painted just some of it. I wanted to leave a little bit of wood on it so it would go good with the table. Things I would have done differently, probably not use those boards, but it did turn out pretty good. I think it'll be a good addition for in the Kentucky cabin. Definitely rustic, and it should make a nice table to relax and enjoy the country living. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next project.